Team Indigenous.
They got their walkout game.
And now the opponents for today's game, Team Saskatchewan.
Which includes the Blackfoot First Nation tribes, Siksika, Piikani, and the Gate, the Stony Nakota First Nations, Chiniki, Bearspaw, along with the Tsuut'ina First Nation and the Métis Nation of Alberta region. Now will you please rise if you're able, remove your hats and caps for the singing of our national anthem.
And welcome everybody as we get set for the 2025 U18 National Championships here in Calgary. 6 games total have been played over the course of 2 days, over the course of this last week. 3 more here to go here on this championship Saturday. Brendan Donald is standing here in the broadcast booth for you. Team Saskatchewan taking on Team National Indigenous. What do you expect here from this game here today?
Well, hi, Brendan, and hi, everybody. Yeah, you know what? I expect Indigenous to put out a maximum effort. They're still looking for their first points at this event. And Saskatchewan, they've been very productive offensively. 34-0 over Manitoba, and then they lost to Ontario, but they did score 26 in a 26-43 loss. So both teams looking for redemption and trying to.
All right, guys, have fun, eh? Good luck today.
On a positive.
It's not necessarily how you start a particular tournament. It's trying to get a win here on Championship Saturday will ultimately make all these girls' days that much better than just trying to run with a really good experience. Again, I like what you're saying. Team Saskatchewan 1-1 throughout this tournament, while Team National Indigenous fortunately 0-2 here at the moment, still looking for their first points of the tournament. Team National Indigenous in the red and black, while Team Saskatchewan is in the green and black, and we are almost ready to get underway for this competition here on this not quite rainy Saturday morning, but it could change at any single moment.
Yeah, overcast is the best way to describe it. It's basically been what summer has been all in the last couple of months here in southern Alberta. We just can't escape the rain and the overcast threat of rain for the last few weeks. So about 13, 14 degrees at kickoff.
So Team Saskatchewan is going to be kicking the ball off to Team National Indigenous, and then we will officially get underway. 6-on-6 football, 12-minute quarters, and that one a little bit of a squib kick. Looks like it's going to be rolling out of bounds, so there's going to be some good field positions, and we already got our opening flag of the game.
Yeah, just like in the 12v12 game, any kickoff that rolls out of bounds is a penalty.
So that one's going to tack on a couple of extra yardage. Again, some of our officials throughout some of the games, we have been able to hear their microphones, but hopefully that trend continues here in this one.
Yeah, and Indigenous wants to get off to a good start. Sienna Deschambault, 40 yards passing against Manitoba, and see if she can improve on that.
Again, she has been able to find her teammate Abriella Cardinal on a fairly consistent basis. That is her number one target and looks to her quite often. It's one of those plays that really just got to continue to try to go with as the officials try to get us ready. I think they're...
Yeah, normally the rule is you start at the 40 if it's an illegal kickoff. So 6v6.
Shambo hands this one off, trying to go around. A good first play on first down. That one finds a little bit of space.
Yeah, well done for number 7. We don't have on our roster, but we will get that clarified sooner than later. A good run for her.
Gets the official carry on that one, marked as number 2 on our official roster sheets, but is number 7. But DeChambeau back in the shotgun, motions her receiver out wide, tries to make him step up in the pocket, and that one just goes up and over. I believe she was trying to find Helena McKay on that particular play, but just couldn't quite snag that one. Helena McKay, the running back, has also been a factor throughout this tournament.
Yeah, solid throw, not any sort of lame duck deflection, which we've seen quite often. So, because the defensive line has been able to break through. Not so much that time, but they just couldn't find the target.
So third and about medium here at this point. Punting unit comes out. Number 26, Ellie Wicks, looks to make the return. A little bit of a bouncer. She's able to collect it. She has all sorts of space to maneuver with. She has some speed, makes one move, gets it past the center field, gets it right around the 51-yard line.
Yeah, Wicks has had a very solid week, 63 yards receiving against Ontario in the loss on Wednesday. Trying to build to a positive result. Again, they've scored 60 points in 2 games. Not the result they wanted against Ontario because they wanted to be in what's the gold medal game, which is an Alberta-Ontario rematch at 4 p.m. local time.
Ella Schenner, she's all alone in the backfield. She's had herself a good-looking tournament so far. She gets the ball. She motions out left, looking to make that pass. Eventually tries to get it to Madison Judd, but just cannot connect on that pass.
Yeah, pretty wide open, but you don't want to break a finger trying to make one catch out of many in a day, so just lets it fall.
Madison Judd not wearing gloves out there on the field. Might have just been a little bit slippery for her as it goes in and out of the wicker basket. Yeah, decent job just picking that one up and maybe just a little bit behind Judd on that play. Jenner all alone, motions her receivers. Tosses this one. We do have a penalty marker on the play, but that one is swallowed up nicely. Ava Blaskovich able to cover, or she was initially got that toss, but tackled behind the line of scrimmage.
Well, McClure was jittery before the snap, and I think she's going to be the player that jumped the gun just a little bit.
Waiting for the official call on the play, but this might ultimately save Team Saskatchewan's first offensive drive. Again, 12-minute quarters for us here.
Ella Shenher, the quarterback, 243 yards passing and 115 rushing against Saskatchewan in a losing effort. So she was definitely the star of the game.
Against Manitoba, yeah, it was a really, really good game for her out there. Fortunately, couldn't finish the game due to a little bit of a nagging injury at the end of it, but it's good to see her back out here after a couple days rest, but she has this one. Again, very mobile quarterback, able to get the first down marker and a little bit more, eventually tackled right around the 30-yard line.
Ellie Wicks with a terrific block, allowing Shenher to break through to the outside angle. We'll get a chance to look at it again here in a moment. C26 throwing that first block, forcing that player backwards, and eventually McKay came up with the tackle, but not until she had been pushed back several yards.
Yeah, Shenner is a very mobile quarterback, and talking with so many defensive coordinators around any level, they say when you have a quarterback that is capable of both throwing and running the ball, it makes things really, really tricky, especially here 6-on-6. That one initially a little bit out of the reach, but Ellie Wicks with a nice looking run up the middle.
Yeah, she was able to have the vision to be able to make the adjustment to just an inch or two to either side. Solid snap as well.
High, but good job by Wicks to eventually get this one for the first down run. Again, another first down, but Shenner and Wicks all on the backfield. Blaskovich motions in. Wicks gets the handoff. She finds a little bit of space. Has another nice first down run.
And what I've noticed so far is that Saskatchewan's been pushing ahead with blockers in front that are not just giving the runners the only opportunity to make any sort of forward advancement and forcing them to do it by themselves. There's always somebody running in front of them to create that hole.
No block, no rock. This is another opportunity as Wicks gets this one off of the motion. She's finding some more space, able to get the first down mark and coming close to that end zone. Again, we only have the 10 yards of end zone space as opposed to the traditional 20.
Sort of a wider defensive formation for Team Indigenous, perhaps anticipating a pass, which allowed Saskatchewan to just give the ball to Wicks.
A very methodical drive for Team Saskatchewan, ultimately helped out by that Team Indigenous penalty to keep them on the field. Shenner, she's going to go right. We do have a penalty marker down on the field, so let's see if this touchdown is going to be called back or if it's going to stand. But so far, a classic drive to start this one, running the ball with maximum efficiency here.
Of course, the tradition for football officiating is the head official is always the one in the white hat. Everyone else is in a black hat.
Touchdown is officially going to be good as nothing extra really ruled on that play. Going here, the kick or the point after, if it goes through, will count for 2 total points. And if it's run in, we only get 1, so a little bit of a reverse type rule.
You always got to have that extra set of batteries. As we take a look at it again.
Offside is the official call, so that one is going to stand no matter what. But then again, we saw the extra point unit out there. Again, the reason for the 2 points is to incentivize kicking, as that was a little bit of a discombobulation. But Ellie Wicks able to pick this one up and going for the single point score. So it is 7-0. A little bit of a broken play off of the snap. Ultimately turns out to be nice and effective.
Yeah, I think a lot of the keys to these provincial teams that come to these national tournaments, like our previous information said, okay, this person's been here twice, this been here 3 times. The experience to be able to improv something like that, Wicks pretty much had no issue whatsoever, just basically walking to across the line to earn that single point. as Team Indigenous plays more games, they'll be ready to adapt to more types of situations where so far it seems like if plan A doesn't work, there's no plan B.
And the boot is up. A little bit of a better kick after on that one. As we continue to try to find a little bit of space. Trying to get to that edge, trying to get to the corner. That's Chloe McKay. Eventually tackled right around the 44-yard line to make that the 43-yard line.
Chloe from Red River, Manitoba. And again, trying to get those advanced blockers.
So after the first drive was a 2-and-out. Again, still looking for your first points of the tournament. Again, you don't necessarily need to go out there and score billions and billions of points. It's just, you got to try to find that first one and just try to string together an early drive. Well, let's see what the Shambo and the offense does. Again, Team National Indigenous playing a lot of under center. Shambo gives that handoff. Actually fakes that, makes a nice pass to Cardinal. And that is a great way to start the drive, gaining almost close to 15 yards on that one.
Yeah, great job, Arabella. Cardinal was basically just waiting. Almost everybody fell for the fake. And she's from Fort Mackay, Big Stone Cree Nation in northern Alberta.
Yeah, that was one of those plays where the ultimate redirection on that play took everyone's eyes off the official ball carrier, and it ultimately worked out. And that's something you can do so much as this ball goes right up the middle and pretty much stuffed, maybe only a gain of 1.
Yeah, and that's that previous play is something they can run again, and actually the runner can actually hang on to it next time. Trying to go straight up the gut. Number 2, Thompson trying to lead the tackling, or the blocking. But it collapsed from underneath.
Helen McKay doing a good job on that one. DeChambeau tosses that one to Thompson. Thompson tries to go to the corner, and she gets stuffed. So after a nice looking first play of this drive, back-to-back rushes that are pretty much going nowhere, and that's actually a loss of about a yard.
Yeah, I was saying on the previous games, it's not as easy to turn the corner like it may be in the 12v12 game. And Taj Marie Thompson not having much luck.
So the punting unit going to come out for Team National Indigenous. Again, didn't necessarily get towards the end zone, but a nice looking play to ultimately kind of continue to set things up, and a couple of run plays ultimately get stuffed on that one. So Team Saskatchewan going to be getting the ball back, but one thing that we do know in this tournament, a lot of players have liked to run the ball in this sort of situation, but this is punted right into the basket of Ellie Wicks. She has a little bit of space, some nice blocking in front of her. She cuts this one in and gets right around the 50-yard line.
And that's a terrific catch and run on the punt return, because she's one of the few who are able to catch it in the air and get an initial 10 to 15 yards, because she's not going to have to chase it and hope that people don't run her over when she touches the ball. So.
Yeah, it is always so effective to be able to catch the ball out of the air and just use that forward momentum as opposed to slow down and try to pick it off the ground. But a toss play, this one's just going straight up the middle. Bureau, a nice looking first down run, able to gain about 6. Appears to be a little bit shaken up after the play. Again, a little bit of a colder morning here in the Valley Shoal Ice Field in Calgary, Alberta. Muscles a little bit tensed on that one. Hopefully that's just it.
Yeah, normally the games have been 1, 4, and 7. Today they are 10, 1, and 4, so that everybody can fly home tonight. Or this very loud Saskatchewan crowd can start the drive home in the sunshine, if we ever see it again.
So Schenner in the backfield. She has Wicks to her left. And we're going to have a clear offside as Madison Judd maybe got a little bit antsy on that one.
Yeah, multiple flags going up there. That's referee school day one kind of stuff. We saw an all-female crew at the Stampeders Alouettes game a couple of nights ago. Not an officiating crew, but sort of the sideline crew of the Sticks and all the other assistants. So that's great to see more females getting into the officiating side of things.
Not only that, but we had all of our competitors here at this tournament, also at the Stampeders game back on Thursday here in Calgary. But 5-yard penalty is ultimately going to result in a first down, so maybe Madison Gent just reacting to a Team National Indigenous player ultimately jumping offside. But the U18 Nationals would like to thank Tourism Calgary for all of their support in this year's tournament, including a special surprise following the championship game. Jenner all alone. Looks downfield, loads up, tosses it, gets Wicks. She has a big gain, and that was a nice looking tackle at the end of it to not have anything extra. But Ellie Wicks, the running back, going out there and making a key, crucial reception.
Yeah, the rookie from the Regina Victorias team. She has been the MVP of this first quarter by a long shot. Terrific throw, and unfortunately the DB just was only able to react and not anticipate.
Motioning right. Has also space, looking to both run or pass. Elects to just run it. Tries to cut this one inside, but ends up going out of bounds. Maybe she thought she had a little bit extra space on that one.
Chanel McClure, nice job to cut off the angle.
Ella Schenner, again, just a mobile quarterback that can kind of do a little bit of everything on particular drives. Again, she was looking to make that pass on that play, but just eventually just elected to just keep the rock for herself. She's all alone right now. Motions her runners inside. She's going to cut this one up the middle for a quarterback draw. Able to get very, very close, if not the first down marker.
Yeah, again, a bit of trickery by Team Saskatchewan. It could have gone one of three ways, and yeah, she calls her own number. Again, follows the blocking, and is in around the 7-yard line.
So first and goal coming up here. Again, another very effective drive for this Team Saskatchewan offense. Jenner with it, Wicks to her right. She hands this one off to Wicks. Wicks cutting this one in, and she scores! Ellie Wicks having a clinic of a morning so far. But we do have a penalty marker down on the field, so is this potentially going to be another offside?
And if it is, which way is it going?
Offside Team National Indigenous, so that is another situation deep in your own territory where you have an offside that causes the opponents to be able to go out there and score.
And Thompson playing both ways.
So that
offense
one goes
and
up
defense.
and no good on that particular occasion, so it's going to stay 13-0. And so far throughout this first quarter of play.
Was that partially blocked?
I don't know. I'd love to see a replay on that one. It was a little bit of a delayed kind of kick from what we saw. Once we get the replay, we'll be able to see potentially a little bit of a better look on that one. Got to see the touchdown run on that play. Brendan Donald, Dave Standish here in the broadcast booth for you in this opening game here on this championship Saturday. What has been a fun tournament throughout the week. But yeah, here is the replay. Goes down. And I'm not sure if that
maybe
was
off
blocked.
the thigh of the... Well, anyway, Justice Berens did a great job.
Yeah, that one trickles out of bounds. So Team National Indigenous is going to be able to start at the 40-yard line as Team Saskatchewan's kickoffs. This is now the second time that we've had one roll out of bounds. So Team National Indigenous had a really good play to start their drive last time, then fizzled out after two runs that really didn't get anything extra on that one. So what do you think they need to do here on this drive to just try to get things moving a little bit more?
Well, I mean, shake up the playbook, but don't dramatically shake up the playbook. Just, I mean, that's what the discussion on the bench is really all about. Working with your offensive coordinators, just trying to figure out something different, and that's something completely different.
Helena McKay with an absolute truck, looking like Derrick Henry out there saying, "Get off me." Able to get a couple of extra because she could have been off of a loss of yards on that one. That is a great, great extra play on that one.
Yeah, terrific work. Gain of 2, but again, it's sometimes the creativity that can get you the furthest.
Yeah, so a little bit of a short gain on that play, but ultimately you're going to take it when potentially could have been a loss of yardage on that one, but 2nd and long, so this is going to be crucial. Want to try to get it, if you don't get a first down, right close to that 50-yard line. That one was snapped and immediately blown dead as a couple of bodies.
Well, you speak of Helena McKay, 61. She is part of the Yorkton Lady Gritters team, which has half a dozen members on Team Saskatchewan, so facing off against her teammates during the regular season.
Savannah Dyson offside on that play, ultimately resulting in Team National Indigenous putting themselves 2nd and 13, making that one just a little bit trickier. Again, a nice, decent-looking opening play of this drive, potentially going to be hurt by an ill-advised penalty. Let's see what Sienna DeChambeau can do. She steps back. She looks to toss this one deep. Tries to get it to her receiver, and she does. She's going. This is Thompson. Can she find the space? Can she turn on the Jets? She is oh so close. Touchdown Team National Indigenous. What a play.
And a great one-on-one battle for the catch, and then just a mad sprint afterwards. Their first points of the week. And you see their fans cheering as loud as they can. That's about a 70-yard play. 72, thank you. And yeah, that was just a spectacular run. And unfortunately, the Saskatchewan defenders, I think there was a bit of contact between the two of them. But yeah, watch this throw. Terrific work for Sienna DeChambeau. And again, a terrific battle. Raina James just a little bit short, and then look at the run. Taj Marie Thompson goes all the way to the end.
Yeah, Sienna DeChambeau had some pressure coming towards her and stayed cool, calm, collected in the pocket. This one's a little bit discombobulated. Justice Barons trying to make something happen out of nothing. Unable to get it, but still a great drive. Again, 2nd and long on that one. All you're really looking for is a first down on that particular play, and it turns into so much more. For your first points of the tournament, what a way to get it, a 72-yard passing touchdown.
And then Cardinal with a bit of attempted trickery on the convert that didn't quite pay off.
So after that big play for Team National Indigenous, Team Saskatchewan going to be receiving the kickoff here. The big thing here is, can Team National Indigenous really slow up this Saskatchewan offense? Because for the first 2 drives so far in this one, they've been pretty much picture perfect.
Yeah, that's the key now, is that one half of the team has done their job. Now the other half has to step up and do theirs.
Justice Barons going to be kicking the ball off. As we wait for kickoff, just everyone getting set and ready to go. Justice Barons has just done a phenomenal job all tournament long, being one of the best defenders throughout this tournament, always around the play, but also getting double duty for the kicking roles. That's a decent looking kick, but Ellie Wicks has to figure this one out, eventually picks this one up, has to run through. Breaks one tackle, but going to be slowed up right around the 34-yard line.
And one step of confidence builds into the next and into the next. And we'll see what Team Indigenous can do on the defensive side. But again, Wicks is just going to play her game, and if they can't stop her, then she's just going to keep going.
The combo of Wicks and Schenner have been oh so mightily dangerous. Pinza Duro also back out there after being a little bit shaken up on the last drive. Schenner looks to make that toss, tries to get it to her tight end. She does. Patelski with a nice grab, and this one goes just shy of the 50. Getting to the 48-yard line.
Called a terrific play to find space between the two DBs. And again, Schenner with a very clean throw. And our camera people seem to know that that was her target as well. Good coverage of the throw and catch. Our Sports Canada group has been spectacular, as they always are.
Schenner off of the screen, gets it to Duro, and she is swallowed up right behind the line. That's going to be a loss of about 2. So after that first big play, good job by Team National Indigenous to make this a long second down. You can ultimately get them off the field here. That puts yourself in a really, really good position.
In the double team tackling.
Schenner all alone in the backfield. Scans the field, reading the defense. Calls out some plays. People motioning in. She's trying to rush this one up the middle, so she calls her own number, finds a little bit of space, and gets to the first down marker. What a play.
Yeah, inside the center circle. Again, we'll never know if that was the initial call or if she just decided to do it on her own. But again, Team Saskatchewan's offense adaptable to any situation. And every time she's run the ball, she's been successful.
That's going to do it for our first quarter of play, where we currently have a score of 13-6 in favor of Team Saskatchewan over Team National Indigenous. And what a way to start that first quarter. Both of these two teams having some explosive plays again. Team National Indigenous getting that 72-yard passing play to get their opening score of the weekend. But we'd like to thank and take this time to thank and acknowledge the government of Alberta for their generous financial support. Get to that ad read after this play. This toss going to try to get to Wicks, just can't quite get there. All right, let's try that ad read again. We'd like to take this time to acknowledge the government of Alberta for their generous financial contributions for the U18 national tournament and their continued support to minor football in Alberta. Do have a penalty marker down on the play, so down to our head official. Another penalty for the defensive line, trying to get a little bit overzealous on that particular situation. And that's kind of been one of the stories for this defense here today, taking some negative plays, ultimately extending drives for Team Saskatchewan. Has this one to the row. Makes one miss, has a little bit of space, able to get that first down.
Yeah, nice job by Kenza Duro from Regina. Once the first tackle was missed, that gave her a chance to accelerate and get around McKay, number 4. That's the weird thing. After these teams disappear at the end of today, then they become opponents again in the Saskatchewan League.
Schenner all alone in the backfield. She looks to toss it, trying to get it to her tight end. And she does. Patelski with a nice looking grab, only able to gain about 4 or 5 on the play. Still a nice first down.
And Cadence Rawlings from Innisfail, not too far from here, that she plays for the Central Alberta Fire, along with a lot of the Alberta players that aren't in this national event. Really has been zeroing in on tackling and doing a good job with it.
Schenner and Wicks in the backfield. Another methodical drive, 2nd and 5. Schenner, she's just going to follow her blocks. Ellie Wicks with a nice looking block there. But Schenner with some more space, cuts this one through. Can she get there? Yes, she can. Touchdown, Team Saskatchewan.
And again, sort of a wider formation that created bigger holes that if you can exploit them, that gives you the time and space to be able to make a big run like that.
A really, really nice looking play again. Schenner is just such a factor with her legs. Takes the ball and just executes it perfectly, following her blocks, making opponent miss, and really just bringing that one into the end zone. So it's down, up. It's going off of her own teammate there, off of that kick. That's got to be a little bit of a surprise, blocking the kick and then turning around and boom, right into your face mask.
Well, Indigenous has definitely done a good job on pressuring the kicker, because that's their third touchdown, and they have no results from the kicking, just the one modification run and the improv to score the single point earlier on.
As we were just watching on that replay, just the perfect reading of the defense and just following the blocks, and good job by everyone up front to really just give Ella Schenner just pretty much a wide open berth to try to get this one through. Right as the kick goes off, whistles are down, so we're likely going to try that one again.
Early kick. Wait for the whistle.
Again, thanks to this committee who've been working since January. I think that's when we got the emails, Brendan, about if we were going to be available here in July. And, yeah, they've been working very, very hard to get this event underway. It's only the third National Women's U19 Championship to ever have taken place. Saskatchewan and Quebec and Alberta and Ontario and Manitoba and Team Indigenous here for this tournament here in 2025.
It has been a fun one so far, as that one is officially off, as that one in and out of the hands of Thompson. And she has some wheels. Can she find a little bit of that edge, and gets pulled down right around the 39-yard line.
Thompson on the kickoff return for Team Indigenous, cross the bounds.
She's from the Wolfpack Football Club and Sir Wilfrid Laurier High School in Anjouan First Nation in Ontario.
So obviously getting that 72-yard touchdown play last drive, you're not going to be expecting that every single series. But if you can continue to have some of those chunk plays that really extend that, really ultimately helps out a bunch. Let's see what Team National Indigenous can pull up here. DeChambeau. She has a running back to her right. Snap is loaded. Hands that one to Thompson. Thompson breaks the initial tackle. Can't get through the second bit, but still a nice couple of yard gain on that play.
And again, it's all about slow building. You could see the players, I believe that was Cardinal, just waving to the right saying, hey, you could pass it to me as well. So they had a couple of open opportunities, and we'll see if and when they run that play again, if Cardinal is actually the target.
DeChambeau, she's going to have Thompson to her right. Motions her left. Ball is snapped. Looking to take that pass. Some pressure coming towards it, and that one's going to go incomplete. But Team Saskatchewan's defense pressures the quarterback. We haven't seen too many sacks throughout this tournament, but that one coming so mightily close. So that's going to be 3rd and 5. Third and 6, pardon me.
Yeah, even with 3 offensive linemen, that was a huge sprint from Kaylee Rupa to put the pressure on the blind side of the quarterback. And again, she got contained very quickly, which led to the incompletion.
So punt team making their way out there on the field. Ellie Wicks, the returner. This one goes up.
Nice.
She's able to field that one and has all sorts of space. Can she break through the initial rush? She does. Gets this one to the 30. Still tiptoeing and just out of bounds.
Not only are, like, the punting has been really good, Brendan, so far from Indigenous, but again, like we said the last time, when she catches the ball, she's already got the forward momentum, and the defenders, no matter what team it is, don't have the time to adjust and then pick up their speed to then control her acceleration you beat one tackler and you're off to the races like she was. So it has been a terrific day for Wicks on special teams and offense.
Schenner all alone in the backfield. She gets it, scans the field, some pressure coming towards her. She rushes this one up the left side, able to gain a couple. Not a designed run on that one, but ultimately able to get that one off the scramble.
Yeah, and Saskatchewan isn't here to run up the score, and they just want to execute their plays, and if they go 2 yards, great. If they go 102 yards, even better. They're just going to do what they're going to do.
Schenner and Wicks in the backfield. Again, could go either way. Wicks getting that block for Schenner. Schenner has a little bit of open space, and she's gone for her third touchdown of the game. Again, just beautiful blocking. If it's not Ellie Wicks, she's going out there and giving a big block, and yet another crucial touchdown here early in this one.
Yeah, a lot of Saskatchewan fans made the trip. They were taking a big group photo when I was walking in from the parking lot. And, yeah, they've been enthusiastic for this event all week long.
Kick is up and goes right off the crossbar, just unfortunately not able to get that one. We'd like to thank the Make a Diff Sport Foundation for their support in growing women's sport at the grassroots levels, innovating and developing programs across the province since 2013.
Two great blocks during that process. Ava Blaskovich, number 1, and 28, Madison Judd. Again, it's about team efforts, and that's why these playbooks and these plays that are called from the playbooks are so important, because everybody has a role, especially in the 6v6 game. Everybody has to take on the importance of their particular role, and they have to execute it, because if only 5 out of 6 people do their job, it may not work as well.
Football is always a game of numbers, and if one player is not doing their job, then the play just simply doesn't work. Thompson, with a nice looking return, just goes out of bounds right at the 53-yard line. Again, Thompson not here for the first couple of days of the tournament, eventually able to get here today for this game. She's without a doubt been a massive, massive factor for that offense and return game.
Keep an eye out for how they rotate their players, especially Team Indigenous, not only to give their main players a rest, but give everybody a chance to be out there even just a little bit on the last day of this event.
DeChambeau under center. Hands this one off. This one going forward. Stephen Stewart, she's wrapped up behind the line of scrimmage. Team Saskatchewan's defensive line showing some good pressure there.
Ava Farkas, number 5 from Saskatoon. The only player listed from inside Saskatoon. This is her second time being here. But of course, a lot of the small towns around Saskatoon and Regina are members of this roster.
So DeChambeau making her way under center again. Can do so much from under the center position. Hands this one off and actually fakes that one to Thompson and tries to get it to Cardinal, but just cannot connect on that pass. So this is going to be 3rd and long. Let's see if the punting unit comes out.
Yeah, just a bit of an unfortunate bounce, but a well-executed play. Fake to the left, everyone fell for it. And Cardinal would have been off to the races with a catch.
I think Sienna DeChambeau on that particular one, maybe he just tried to rush that throw a little bit. Maybe her eyes got a little bit too large on that play. Seeing a wide open receiver, didn't necessarily plant herself properly. But this punt is up. And Wicks able to catch this one. Has a bunch of space, turns on the Jets. And we're going to see a penalty marker right around when the tackle was made. So we'll have to see, but this is going to be right around the 50-yard line.
I mean, I'm not a special teams coach, but if I'm advising the punter for Team Indigenous, I'm like, try to kick it in a way that it's not directly going towards Wicks, because that way if she has to adjust side to side, she doesn't have as much time to accelerate going forward with a clean catch.
We'd like to give a shout out to Hilberg and Burke and the NFL Canada for their support in providing special gifts for all of our tournament award winners. Also, don't forget to check out the NFL Canada's photo booth in the concourse.
I think that's Saskatchewan's first penalty of the day. We'll have some stats at the end of halftime, thanks to our incredible stats crew who will give us that information so we can give it to you.
Schenner in the backfield with Wicks. Again, Wicks kind of does it all. Receiver, running back, fullback. As someone gets tossed to DeRoe. An excellent pitch and catch for a first down. Going back to what you were saying there, Dave, about trying to ultimately angle the kick away from Wicks on either the punt return or the kick return brings me back to the days of Devin Hester while he was playing with the Bears. There was just so many teams were so scared to just punt him the ball that you had to do silly things at times just to get it away from her, and maybe that might be something that Team National Indigenous has to try to draw up. Schenner looks to try to make that pass, and that one's intercepted. This is going to go back. Thompson with the dual threat right into her hands and brings that one to the 35-yard line.
Well, like you said, if this is her first game and everyone else's third, she's going to have the largest amount in her gas tank, and terrific awareness and vision. And just steps right in front, and then the QB ends up being the one to knock her out. So, yeah, she can go full throttle here for these last 2.5 quarters.
Yeah, Schenner was looking for Patelski, but just maybe not necessarily exactly on what route each other was running on that particular play, and that just allows Thompson to pick that one off. But DeChambeau, her best starting field position in the game, looks to try to toss this one. A little bit an awkward throw on that one, causing this one to be 2nd and 10.
See all the different helmets representing all the different teams that these players are representing.
Try to put a little bit of a touch pass on that one, trying to get it to Tegan Stewart, just a little bit behind her, and didn't quite get the pass off the way that she probably would have wanted, but still really good field position. Okay, also in there in the backfield, DeChambeau looking for the ball. Handoff to McKay, and she gets tackled behind the line of scrimmage. Team Saskatchewan's defense comes up clutch on that one. That one basically had nowhere to go. Oh, going to be 3rd and 11, so after the interception from Thompson, fortunately not able to get much on that drive.
Yeah, that's why you sort of need that secret language of how you called your plays, because perhaps Saskatchewan was able to anticipate, just based on the conversation at field level, what that play was going to be.
Wicks back. Angled away from her. Had to deal with that one on the ground, but she's able to pick this one up. She finds a little bit of space, but tackled right around the 40. If she was able to break through that one, it was a house call.
Again, the quality of both offensive and special teams tackling out front and knowing exactly where they want to set up holes and running lanes has been very well done here by Team Saskatchewan.
Holding on Team Saskatchewan, causing that really good-looking punt to go backwards.
Just as I say that, perhaps a little too good of effort on that one.
Sometimes when you have a really good return, you ultimately have to take a look backwards just to make sure everything was clean and legal, and on that particular occasion, it was not.
Well, even on some of the replays of the Saskatchewan possessions, you can see that they're not even, except for that one, of course, not even coming to half holding. They're just tapping and redirecting and forcing Indigenous not be able to tackle as well as they could.
Great job by Team National Indigenous to stop that run from Wicks, dead in its tracks. It's going to be 2nd and 10, maybe a loss of a couple of inches on that one.
Thompson again, as you may have expected. Well, we're going to have Player of the Game awards at the end of the 48 minutes for offense and defense for both teams, and right now she might win both.
She has played a phenomenal game, but Schenner, she's moving out, follows her blocks, nice and patient, but we do have a penalty marker down on the field. Wasn't quite able to get too much. Pretty much every other offensive drive for Team Saskatchewan has been picture perfect throughout this one. However, this drive so far has stalled out a little bit, but let's see what the call on the field is.
Well, somebody moved a little bit, I think.
Offside for Team National Indigenous again. It feels like every drive we end up calling an offside. It's just one of those things. They're not able to quite adjust to the snap. Just getting a little bit too overzealous.
Yeah, it looks like 69 Cadence Rawlings jumped a little bit. And again, if you can fool the defenders, who all they can do is react. 5 yards is 5 yards, no matter how in what method you get it.
And this drive continues. That's ultimately going to be the biggest thing there. Justice Barons tried to get there. An excellent looking play. Ella Schenner, what a play. Goes all the way down to the 50. Can she break through? My, oh my. Looking like an all-pro out there, escaping 2 tacklers. Whoa, what a play.
Well, you know what? That's work in the training room, is be able to build up your muscles and your acceleration to be able to break those half tackles. I thought she was gone right here, and not only wasn't she, look at the progress she makes.
Yeah, Justice Barons, the initial, basically had an open lane to the quarterback, but didn't want to get too aggressive on that to try to avoid a fake. Slowed it up a little bit and just...
Yeah, one spin move turns into 50 yards.
And not only that, getting away from Rawlings as well. Big defensive lineman just... That's one of those plays that see in CFL you'd be seeing on TSN for the next couple of weeks. Schenner elects to hand this one off after the long run. But this is Wicks. She's going to go, found a crease, and she's gone. Ellie Wicks with a beautiful touchdown run. The combo of Wicks and Schenner is proving to be maybe just a little too much.
Yeah, both teams have scouts or coaches up here in the booth with us in different rooms so that they can radio down to their team from a different angle, from a different height, and perhaps exploit things that the coaches on field level cannot see. And I think that might have been the case right there. Again, it's all about rotation of your roster, who plays with who, how much a player plays until they get a break, and if the offense can figure it out.
So electing to go for 2 here. Schenner, she's going to have this one, or pardon me, 1. Again, it's that. Sometimes you always forget some of those little rule changes, but able to get the 1-point conversion on this one. Again, at this level, we do like to try to emphasize kicking the extra point because that ultimately can get the 2. But we've seen some of the kicking not be quite connected for Team Saskatchewan, so they just elect to run it in for 1.
Yeah, probably a better decision. And why not keep using these players if they can just make another 5-yard run? We saw a 50-yard run a moment ago, so another 5 isn't quite a big deal.
Having a little bit of a break in between there again. It's a nice looking run from Wicks, following her blockers, just turning on the turbo jets. Again, when she's in some open space, it's not really even a foot race at this point. It's almost like watching a Formula 1 car go up against a road car. It's just not really fair at that point. But the ball is up Team National Indigenous able to pick this one up, and this is Thompson. She has a little bit of an angle with a nice looking stiff arm there. It's to the 49-yard line.
And again, the coaches that are up here with us can see gaps. They can see weaknesses in the line. They can see who's probably playing a lot of the majority or the minority of plays for the opposing team, and say, I don't know, like go through 78 and 82. They seem a little tired, that sort of thing, which again you may not be able to notice from field level.
So, Team National Indigenous has had some chunk plays throughout this, but not able to really get anything more than that. Let's see what they can ultimately operate here on this drive. Last time, 2 and out in really favorable field position. Shambo, she motions left, looks to make that toss, tries to get it to her sister. Pardon me, that's actually Cardinal. Thought it was Faith DeChambeau there for a moment. Just cannot connect on that one.
Well, keep an eye out for number 16, Raven Taverner-Gill. She is from Calgary here, so she has the shortest drive home of anybody. Crescent Heights High School, which is too far from here, and she plays for the Wildcats Bantam program, which has historically been one of the stronger ones in the city. So keep an eye out for number 16 in the red.
DeChambeau all alone. Heavier set personnel up front. Let's try to make that toss off of the screen. Just couldn't work. The pressure a little too much. So it's going to be 3rd and 10. And the punting unit makes their way out onto the field.
And Saskatchewan was able to do this well against Manitoba last Sunday as well. Exploit that weak side, left side. You see everybody move right. That gives, look like 22, Carmen Thies, 22, a wide open look at the QB, and you can see her frustration as he heads back to the bench. And now even on the bench, there's some discussion among the offensive players to what they're going to do differently next time.
That play a little bit broken up, and that's going to be a massive, massive play for Team Saskatchewan. I don't think it was a designed run there. Just couldn't quite get the punt off, and maybe again just trying to keep it away from Ellie Wicks, with her being just so dangerous so far in this first half. Again, only 2:13 remaining. Team Saskatchewan with their best starting field position of the game.
Not the worst call, because if you could make it work, terrific, but perhaps they're hoping that Saskatchewan can run out of time, even though they are going to start at the offensive 44-yard line.
Ella Schenner all alone in the backfield. Scans the field, has some pressure coming towards her. Ducks and dodges out of that one. Has all sorts of space, continuing to run the ball. Shoestring tackle, and maybe just potentially gives up on the play as we have a Team National Indigenous player down on the field.
Yeah, it was an interesting ending to that play. Not what you would exactly expect. Maybe somebody thought they heard a whistle, especially with that player going down, but quickly coming right back up again. That was McClure.
So the penalty marker down on the field. Just getting a look at this replay. Again, Schenner not looking to run the ball, has to make a nice spin move. At this point, it's all run, has nothing but green grass. Breaks a tackle. Ellie Wicks maybe with that extra shove at the end of that one.
Yeah, McClure just sort of came into the picture and then falling down. Perhaps is that what the whistle is? It looks like that's what the flag is all about.
Blindside block is going to be the official call, so Team Saskatchewan moving far, far back.
Yeah, and the runner knew that was probably the call, so there was no point in going any further because she knew the play was going to come backwards. And the only thing she could do at that point is run clock, which they need because there's only 2 minutes left to go in the half if they want another score.
First down still here for Saskatchewan. Schenner, she's going to follow her blockers again. Just this mobile quarterback really causing problems. Avoids one. Can she get past here? Thompson really fighting for the ball now, and almost looks like she was trying to suplex her down there on that tackle. Schenner has just been magnificent in this game at reading the blocks, finding the space, and avoiding a couple of tackles on top of that.
Well, I talk about it no matter what sport I'm covering, Brendan, but it's the work in the gym, in the training room, that's going to make these plays. The work you can do in January in the room is what can get you the payoff in July on situations like this.
Atlanta with a nice run up the middle, able to get close to a first down marker, if not able to get that one.
Bigger, more muscular players are going to be able to dodge half tackles much easier, and defensive players can tackle with more impact if they have a bigger physique as well.
So bring in Demilanta, the other running back, part of this team, just to give Wicks a little bit of break time. But this pass going up, trying to find it, and that's going to be picked off for a second time. Thompson with her second of the game, and just showing off some really good plays. Looking for Duro on that one, but
yeah, well done for Thompson. Maybe she's the one to avoid throwing in the direction of, just like Wicks is the person you want to avoid when you're kicking the ball to Saskatchewan. Tremendous work, and who knows what they can do. We've seen a big play that she was part of earlier on.
Her earlier interception, that was just stepping up into the path of the ball. This was more of your traditional 50-50 ball making its way up into the air. And again, I've been really, really impressed with Thompson throughout this one. Again, trying to almost do that Travis Hunter role, playing both offense, defense, even throwing special teams. It's just been a fun player to watch. Able to get the ball in the around, and that one eventually slowed up.
Yeah, the end around can definitely work, 6 versus 6 or 12 versus 12, if you can get the angles to work in your favor and again get the angled blocking from your teammates.
Shin with the run on that one.
Morgan Haas, number 15, makes the last tackle.
So moving backwards a little bit on this one, so it's still going to be first down. 1st and 15, so gonna have to make up a ton of ground on this one. Let's see what the play caller ultimately draws up. And talking with the coaching staff during this tournament, they have a lot of trust in DeChambeau to try to make right decisions. Sometimes she ultimately even changes the play call just on what she sees. She's going to try to make this throw deep, and that one's almost picked off.
And that's the trouble when your defender is, or your pass target is 20 yards down the field, and it's very difficult to see. Sometimes it's hard. Like, do I want to be sacked in the end zone? Do I want to take a chance on an interception? Maybe there's a chance I can make the play to my receiver. It's that's why the quarterbacks get the big bucks, is because they have to make the most impulse decisions.
Biggest plays oftentimes come with the quarterback, so the responsibility is ultimately there. But 2nd and 15, so gonna need to see what Team National Indigenous draws up on this one. Looking, trying to make that pass. She finds Cardinal. She has a lot of open grass. Without a doubt, a first down and more. Almost to the 40-yard line, right at the 39. Talked about these big chunk plays for Team National Indigenous. That's another perfect example of it.
Yeah, Cardinal knowing that she was going to be caught and just make sure that she wasn't going to fumble the ball away. Huge play to the 39 for a first down, and 40 seconds to work with.
Again, just taking a look at this replay. Faking the ball off on the handoff. Not even really having a perfect toss on that occasion. But this time, handing this one off to Thompson. She's able to break one tackle. Able to get through another. Not going to be quite able. Actually muscles herself for the first down. That last-ditch effort. Great looking play. Thompson has just been so mightily impressive in this one.
And again, it's always going to be those diagonal type runs that we can see from up here, because that limits the ability to tackle and adjust to it versus running in a straight line where they can either catch you or cut you off on the 90-degree angle.
We have a timeout, so we'd like to thank Lion Fletcher Wedding and Oculus Private Wealth for their financial support and event management, making this year's tournament shine like never before. Also, plug into the 50-50 times. Our draw closes at 4:30 p.m. Winners selected at 5 p.m. QR codes around Shoaldice. We also have volunteers walking through the bleachers taking cash for 50-50. So if you are in the Calgary area and you're potentially coming out to the game a little bit later in the day, we highly recommend trying to find some of the excellent volunteers that make this tournament exactly what it is. So a big shout out there. So with 16 seconds left, definitely one of the best offensive drives for Team National Indigenous in the game. As they make their way back out there on offense.
Both teams get 2 timeouts per half.
Again, a nice looking pass to Cardinal, and then a nice run from Thompson. Back-to-back first downs. Still more than half the field to go to try to get some points. This is going to be crucial as DeChambeau tries to launch this one to Cardinal. It goes in and out of her hands. A little bit deflected in front, so it wasn't an easy catch nonetheless. 11 seconds still remaining.
And I like the idea that they're confident enough in their receivers to have those one-on-one battles and not just throw to somebody who's completely wide open. They know that the receivers have to earn these receptions and this yardage. So a good confident throw, and it's just half the time you get it, half the time you don't.
Yeah, Morgan Hayes on that one, getting her hands up in the air and slowing that one up. A nice end-around toss. Thompson, she's going to try to follow her blocks, able to get to the 50. Still on the move. She's going to go. Can anyone catch her? Last few moments, she's going to score. Another beautiful play. Tajmary Thompson coming so close to the sideline, tiptoeing across it, takes it forward, just outruns everyone for her second of the game.
Well, that was just spectacular. You described it perfectly, Brendan. All she did was follow her block, sprint, accelerate, and the weak tackling from Saskatchewan allowed her to break through.
So the extra point attempt. This is up, a high booming kick, and no good.
A bit wide left there.
And that's going to do it here for our first half of play, where Team Saskatchewan currently up by a score of 32-12 over Team National Indigenous.
I don't know how she got through those 3 tacklers. Like, that is just pure power and confidence. And she wasn't going to be caught after that.
We often give both a offensive player of the game and a defensive player of the game for each team, and it's kind of getting to the point for Team National Indigenous where it's going to be impossibly hard to not potentially give her both. 2 interceptions on the defensive side of the ball, but 2 long touchdowns both on the offensive side of the ball. What an excellent game for her so far. Brendan and Dave here in the broadcast booth with you. We'll be back here for second half action here at the 2025 U18 Nationals.
for yourself?
Good, for sure. Got all your gear? It looks like you're
Yeah.
you carry a lot this morning.
Can you call the captain, please? Thank you.
Captain! Hey, sorry, my stick crew guy's on his phone. And he's not listening to Emma.
And welcome back, everybody, as we get set for second half of play here at the 2025 U18 National Championships here in Calgary, Alberta. Brendan Donald, Dave Standish here in the broadcast booth with you. Dave, a really interesting first half. Again, just taking a look at the advanced stats in this one. I'll let you go through that one.
Yeah, totally. Here are the stats for the first half. First down, Saskatchewan 15-3. Yards rushing 284 to 8. Yards passing for Saskatchewan. Yards passing for Indigenous 189 for Saskatchewan 65. Total offense 349 for Saskatchewan, 197 for Team Indigenous. Saskatchewan 6 completions out of 9 attempts. Team Indigenous 5 completions from 13 attempts. Indigenous had some issues with penalties in the first quarter and a half, 7 for 24 yards. Saskatchewan 2 for 25 yards, including that blindside block. And both teams have 4 turnovers, including 2 of those interceptions from Taj Marie Thompson.
Yeah, she has been an absolutely electrifying player. I know we were all chatting here in the broadcast booth of just the impact she makes coming into this game, and just taking a look at what could have happened in Manitoba. She was there with that being a 20-0 game. Again, if you have a couple of those plays added into that game, you could have something that's completely different story in this result. But nonetheless, our current score 32-12 in favor of Team Saskatchewan in the green and black, while Team National Indigenous in the red. And it has been a interesting battle between these two teams. Again, one of the biggest differences in this one has been the offense of Team Saskatchewan and their running ability, either from Ella Schenner, the quarterback, or Ellie Wicks. Either one of those two has just made unbelievable plays as the ball gets kicked off. And speaking of Ellie Wicks, she has it. Brings this one up the middle, makes one cut, can't get past the tackler, so she's going to be right at the 51-yard line.
Well, you see that team effort. Morgan Haas, again, 15, sort of with that cross route blocking as they crossed paths between each other to again try to confuse the defense and get a few extra yards. You'll see it right here. She crosses over to block away Chloe McKay, but good tackle from Behrens.
Yeah, Justice Behrens doing a great job, but this one goes right up. Wicks avoids one tackle. She's going to cut this one in, making another breakaway. And can she go? The shoelace tackle stops her from getting yet another touchdown for herself. The strong rushing attack continues to look good.
Well, we deal with a lot of high school football on this field every September in Calgary, and what I see a lot of is if teams can be pretty close to each other, but if poor tackling can make a much bigger difference than you might think.
Jenner and Wicks alone in the backfield. Receivers motioning. Wicks in front of Jenner. She continues to move. Has the first down, or actually ended up fumbling the ball in that play, but able to get it right around the first down marker. One of those weird, interesting plays. I'm not sure if anyone ended up actually knocking it out of her hands, but let's take a look at this replay. Again, just doing another great job at following all of her blocks.
Yeah, and I mean, the 5-yard shotgun can be advantageous or disadvantageous, and the long snappers have done a great job today.
Yeah, that one just ultimately popped out of the wicker basket. But Schenner and Wicks again in the backfield. Motion in front. Wicks ends up getting the handoff this occasion. What a jump cut there. This is a first down and much more. Ellie Wicks, just such an impressive young running back out there. Been mightily impressive watching her.
that shows her ability to adjust and not only to look straight ahead, but to look down, because there was a player on the grass who was trying to do something from her knees, and that was number 1, McClure. And again, Wicks was able to adjust and just keep proceeding forward.
Wicks cuts this one outside, trying to find the corner, and she's going to be tackled right around the goal line. And it's going to be a touchdown. Ellie Wicks with her 3rd of the game.
And that's, I feel so bad for defensive players from this level all the way to the NFL, because all you do is travel backwards, and all you can do is react and hope you get it right. And unfortunately, Malibu Grand Jam just fell for the shake and bake that 99% of people would, and Wicks finished it off.
Yeah, Wicks just muscling her way into the end zone again. Team Saskatchewan just going for the 1-point conversion after some of the kicks earlier in the game really just haven't come to fruition. Jenner is just going to call her own number and just waltz into the end zone. Actually wasn't going to be quite as good, and no good is going to be the call. Team National Indigenous stuffs her right at the line. Initially, it looked like she was going to just waltz in.
Yeah, again, Chloe McKay. Of course, this is the U18 Women's Nationals. So either Chloe's turned 18 and has a couple of tattoos on the back of her arm, or those are just heavy bruises. Either one wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, taking a look at some of the very effective runs ultimately set up that touchdown, as Wicks showing a really good job here. That run, I believe this is going to be the touchdown run we're seeing next. She's just able to hand this one off, going left, follows her blocking, cuts this one to the outside, and able to get it right alongside the pylon. And
well, and that's how well run that play was because if Wicks goes to the wide side, she scores. If she goes and cuts to the near side, Haley Nordquist, 6'0", is there to cut off the defender and probably lead to the same results. So, again, every time Saskatchewan has an impressive play like that or series of plays, you can see on these replays how all 6 players are executing correctly.
Grandjan on the return on that one, a little bit of a bouncer, goes in her hands initially, then just has to kind of fall on it. So Team National Indigenous with their next offensive possession here. Again, they've had some pretty big explosive plays from number 7, Paige Marie Thompson. Let's see what DeChambeau dials up on this one. Thompson gets the fake toss going towards her, still looking that way. Okay, with it. Avoids the first tackle, and a nice truck on that one. Able to gain a couple extra.
Did she just basically just throw her shoulder ahead?
That was a classic. I'm going to be the bigger player out here. Lower the shoulder, deliver the boom. Yeah, the running back screen essentially, just seeing this one. Avoids that one, nicely done. And it just says, get off me.
Yeah, basically that's exactly what they did.
So 2nd and 6 on the play. So a nice looking play that fortunately didn't result in too much yardage on that one. Nonetheless, you take the positives where you can. Shambo under center. She hands this one off to Thompson right up the middle. Thompson still fighting. She's going to get the first down. .8:30 still remaining in this 3rd quarter. Again, thanks for joining us here on Football Canada's YouTube for this entire tournament. What has been started last Sunday, had some games on Wednesday, and this is Championship Saturday here in Calgary, Alberta, Shoaldice Athletic Park. Great facilities.
We've got Quebec and Manitoba coming up at 1 o'clock Mountain Time, and Ontario and Alberta for the big title at 4 p.m.
Thompson gets the toss, and she's going to have a nice big play. Again, on the defensive side of the ball, 2 picks On the offensive side of the ball, all just casually 2 long touchdowns. That has been a real problem for Team Saskatchewan's defense. Just been a phenomenal player all tournament or all game long. Again, only making it to the tournament here today. At least able to get 1 game of the U18 2025 National Championship. McKay gets the handoff. She's going to run this one for a first down.
So Thompson is from the Aamjiwnaang First Nation, and that is actually not too far from Detroit. It's at the edge of Lake Huron.
Yep, from Windsor, Ontario as well.
Yeah, basically, if you're going from Hamilton to Detroit, and you take the northern route, you hit that particular First Nation. So
Shambo with it, has some pressure. She tosses this one to Thompson and just goes in and out of the hands. It was a forward pass, so we're not going to have a fumble here. We do have a late flag on this one. Again, some of those tosses behind the line of scrimmage, it was a forward pass. It wasn't a toss backwards, so it's not going to count as a fumble. But some extracurricular at the end of that one. Well, the officials have a quick word on that one. Once again, we'd like to thank our amazing sponsors, Tourism Calgary and the Government of Alberta, for their support in this year's U18 Women's Championship. At this time, we'd also like to recognize the hard work and contributions of all the volunteers here at Shouldice Athletic Park, and most importantly, our tournament committee, as well as all the volunteers from all the provinces that are participating, providing a fantastic opportunity for all the athletes playing in the 2025 U18 Women's Championship. So, unnecessary roughness.
yeah, piling on against Saskatchewan. And yeah, that's just an unfortunate.
It's really been the biggest blunder of a play from Team Saskatchewan all day long in terms of penalties. But again, just trying to fight for that ball, thinking that it's potentially a fumble. But DeChambeau under center here at the moment. Motions McKay. She's just going to roll out. She has all sorts of pressure. She just has to toss that one away. Anna James looking like she could have potentially picked that one off, but we do have a late flag on the play.
Riley Fatisher from the Yorkton Lady Gritters. Her first time here. Making a big impression. One of a handful of Lady Gritters on this team. Again, a late flag. But yeah, she was quite intense with her reaction to that big play that she made.
As we can take a look at the replay on this one, DeChambeau facing pressure pretty much immediately. He just kind of had to get that one away. Fortunately, the official's microphone. Loss of downs on the play. So it's going to be
intentional grounding.
And
intentional grounding there.
So Thompson actually gets the toss. Looked like she was going to make this pass. She tries to get it to DeChambeau. Oh, so close. Some good stellar defense from Richard DuPont. But DeChambeau almost looking like she was trying to get that ball right towards her.
Yeah, Shai doing all the right things there. She had probably no idea the ball was coming towards her, let alone that she was going to get hit in the back with it. But great avoidance as Thompson throwing the ball that time. And again, maybe Richter Thompson saw it, or DuPont saw it right in her peripheral vision, but was able to knock it away.
So it's a 3rd and long scenario. Offense still out there on the field. And a little bit of a quick toss up the middle. Can Thompson break away? Avoids one tackle. Can she get to the first down marker? She does. 3rd down. And they stay on the field. A nice looking play for Team National Indigenous.
I like to focus a lot on the mental aspect of the game, Brendan, and that just shows me that Thompson has that mental acuity. It's like, I broke the first tackle, I'm going to break the next one, and I'm going to break the next one. And that's exactly what happened. And she's just playing with all the confidence in the world. I think the last thing she's doing is looking at the scoreboard right now. She just wants to be productive for this team, and it's paying off.
Yeah, she has been an absolute threat everywhere on the field, but we do have a player down, and during this time, we'd like to thank some of our football sponsors: Football Canada, Football Alberta, the CBFA, SAFFL, the Calgary Stampeders, and NFL Canada for their continuous support of all things Canadian football and this particular tournament. But never good to see a young player down on the field. Just hope that it's just one of those cramp or just a little bit of a stinger type situation. But Taj Marie Thompson has just been phenomenal all game long. And again, having to go through 3 tacklers like what you were saying, and just the mental toughness to continue going. The number 64, Badisher, just able to walk off under her own power. So if anything, that's the best thing you can see.
Absolutely. And you're wondering, SAFFL is the Southern Alberta Female Football League, and it's volunteers and the organizers of leagues like this and tournaments like this that promote the game and keep it going year after year, decade after decade. So it's, thank goodness for the organizers.
Shambo able to get it to Cardinal. Cardinal with the reception. Oh, so close, right around the 1 yard line. There was a lot of misdirection right at the line of scrimmage, and we are going to be first and goal right in the shadow of Saskatchewan's end zone.
Again, the Big Stone Cree Nation is where Arabella Cardinal lives, and they're very, very proud of her efforts, and this has been her best game of the week so far.
Yeah, has made a handful of good grabs so far, and coming so close right at the 2, actually right around that 3rd yard line, or 3 yards away from the end zone. Play call coming here. Just from what we've seen, Helena McKay is a physical bruising style back. Thompson, all sorts of threats wherever she's going to be. Shambo, not much of a more mobile quarterback, but she has it. She steps up, and that one's almost in and out of the hands of Richard DuPont. We do have a late flag at the end of that one.
Throwing into a double team, not the ideal scenario, but perhaps Saskatchewan did something illegal, which led to that double team, which would have led to that incompletion.
Yeah, a lot of times when we see quarterbacks at this sort of level try to throw into that double coverage, it's because they believe they have such an arm that can just get through all the players at that point.
Well, at a certain point, no matter what level you're at, boys, girls, pros, tykes, there's always going to be that worry about getting sacked and getting injured. And, I mean, a sack, an interception, a fumble, they're all negative. It's just to the degree of it. But again, Tom Brady doesn't want to get sacked as much as anybody doesn't want to get sacked. But, yeah, there was definitely the opening.
Yeah, some pressure.
Cardinal was the target.
Here.
So there was it was a confident throw. There's no doubt about that. And
adding the illegal contact on the penalty, so this is going to move the ball up half yardage or halfway towards.
Yeah, illegal contact on an eligible receiver. A uniquely Canadian rule. I had a friend who followed the CFL for a long, long time, and he never liked that call. And we'd always argue about it because he thought everything was either pass interference or nothing. He's like, well, what's this half call of illegal contact? Well, if you're making contact with a receiver, if it's the intended receiver or not, it's disrupting their ability to make a play or to be open for a play. And, well, that's pass interference. Well, no, there's got to be a midpoint, and we never did resolve that argument.
So first and goal, still ball on the 1. Team National Indigenous looking to try to get a score, keep themselves in this ball game. Shambo looking to try to make that pass. That one was almost intercepted. A good-looking defensive play from Team Saskatchewan. But if you are Team National Indigenous, this is without a doubt 3-down territory.
Yes, second and goal from the 1 after the penalty. But yeah, Saskatchewan's starting to get into some bad habits that I didn't see against Manitoba on Sunday, excuse me. They had just the 2 penalties in the first half, but continuing to get penalized here in the second half. 3:20 to go in the third quarter.
Shambo on her center. Thompson behind her. Helena McKay off to the far right. A bit disjointed. That pass was caught, but unable. Actually, that's going to be an interception. That's going to be number 20, Richard DuPont, with it. Another excellent defensive play that ultimately turns the tables on the head.
Well, and that's another 50-50 ball that you sort of saw Saskatchewan building to with that double team that got penalized earlier, that they've made some adjustments at halftime to be able to anticipate where the throw is going, and perhaps they're trying to double team and contain players who aren't Thompson so that they can exploit perhaps those players' weaknesses. And a terrific catch. Shia Richter DuPont, Regina Victoria's her first time here, and Saskatchewan's going the other way.
And surprise, surprise, Ella Schenner rushing the ball again. When you have a dual threat quarterback just making this one way through, Ellie Wicks with the initial block, able to gain about 8 on the play, so 2nd and 2. Getting out of the shadow of your own end zone always makes things just a little bit easier because the threat of a safety is always there. This time handed off to Wicks. She's going to go to the near side, has some space, and has the first down.
Yeah, makes the blocks on the last play, then runs the ball on the next play.
Again, you always listen to offensive play callers talk about if you want to be able to get the ball on a fairly effective basis, a lot of times it goes towards receivers. If you don't block, then you're not going to get the rock. So no block, no rock, and Ellie Wicks showing exactly that on this drive so far.
Again, Haley Nordquist, 60, providing the hole.
Jenner with it. Wicks, a nice looking block, not able to gain much more than about 6 on the play.
Yeah, that was Schenner going forward herself, and again, Wicks throwing the block that time.
Yeah, again, these two have just been such a dynamic duo. It's one of those units where when you have such a mobile quarterback like that and a running back with the speed of Wicks, it makes it really, really hard for any defense to really deal with. Schenner this time again going to be following Wicks. She has some wheels herself, able to break a couple of tackles and get to the 40-yard line.
Yeah, there's not as much play call variety in this game as opposed to the 12 versus 12, because you have as many as 5 to 6 eligible receivers. But if you just keep running those same kinds of plays and make slight nuanced differences, again, all the defense can do is react. And hey, if you're going to run the same play 100 times, we saw that between Ontario and Alberta. They ran Potter, who you'll see effectively at 4 o'clock. 12 plays in a row for her, and most of them were identical. The defense just couldn't stop her.
Wicks this time taking the ball the other way. Cuts this one through the middle. End up being stopped right around the 41-yard line. A short game.
And again, Cadence Rawlings, the local player from Innisfail, making a maximum impact, and the equipment doing its job, absorbing all of that so that the bones of Ellie Wicks aren't affected by that big crunch. Let the shoulder pads do the work.
Schenner and Wicks motioning to row. We're going to have an offside, so blown down pretty much immediately. Should be a pretty cut and dry penalty here.
Yeah, just which one do you give it to?
Exactly. Well, while we have this quick discussion, thank you to some of our amazing sponsors: Hilbertenberg, Oculus Private Wealth, Lion Fletcher Weddings, Leak Signs, Tourism Calgary, the City of Calgary, the Make a Diff Sports Foundation, and the Government of Alberta for their constant support of all things Canadian football and this tournament. And huge shout out to them. Second down, Team National Indigenous on the call. So you just saw on the replay. Just trying to jump the snap count.
I think her battery pack's going to need yet another new set of batteries.
Sometimes with the weather, again, hasn't really been raining, but still with it being really moist in the air, kind of sometimes wreak havoc on the machines down there. Going to be the last play of the third quarter. Jenner all alone trying to make that pass. Tried to get it to Hayden Ship, the tight end / quarterback on this roster. And that's going to bring up 3rd and 3 on this one. And we potentially see the punting unit come out. I know with Team Saskatchewan, there's been a bunch of times when they have punted in past games where Ella Schenner initially gets the snap out of the shotgun and just kind of runs a little bit to the side and then punts it away.
Hayden Ship, the only player from Langenburg, Saskatchewan, on the roster. I mean, most of my family's from Saskatchewan, Brendan, and all my cousins played hockey, and like the closest team that they played against was 30, 45, 60 minutes away. Like they'll drive to Saskatoon for 2 hours, do an hour shopping and drive 2 hours back and not think twice about it. It's just the sacrifice and the willingness for these players, especially from these small towns, to either get to Saskatoon or get to Regina.
We're going to have
it's
a
very
penalty
admirable.
on the play that could potentially result in a first down for Team Saskatchewan. Just ultimately have to wait here. But what we see from Thompson on this play, having to muscle through a couple on that one.
And then Calgarians like me are annoyed when we have to go from the deep north to the deep south and it takes 30 minutes. These guys are driving 2 hours and not thinking twice about it.
Waiting for the officials to give us the call here as we are now officially in the 4th quarter of play. Just a reminder to all of our fans here today to stick around after the game for all of our Players of the Game awards. So first down, Team National Indigenous.
Terrific punt. And a good catch in motion.
Everything getting situated and sorted. So Team Sask offense back out there on the field. Hayden Ship, or pardon me, that is still remaining. Ella Schenner out there at quarterback, because I know Hayden Ship is the backup quarterback, but one of the tight ends for this roster. I think Team National Indigenous had their offense out there because both teams were trying to figure out exactly the situation.
And they didn't have to do the big walk from one end to the other at the end of the first quarter or the end of the third quarter, so it was kind of a weird transition. Just, okay, now we're going the opposite direction.
So Team National Indigenous defense making their way back out there on the field. But again, that penalty on the punt ultimately resulting in the first down. And it's been one of the stories here in this game where Team National Indigenous has had some ill-timed penalties throughout this game. Ultimately kept them on the field and extending some of these drives. But Schenner hands this one off to Wicks. Wicks comes near side. Tries to cut this one around. He's going to have enough for first down yardage, but that's a fumble. Is she going to be ruled down? And that appears to be the official call. It's going to be just shy of the first down marker. Would love to see this play just at the end of it, just to ultimately get a sense of if she was potentially down or not. Again, a nice looking run. Schenner all alone in the backfield. I think that is ruled a fumble on that one as this toss goes out and just can't quite get to Wicks. Again, she's taking a look at that last replay. She might have stepped out of bounds before she ended up getting hit, but that ball might have been a little bit premature, blown dead. Nonetheless, play still continues. Jenner all alone in the backfield. Motions her receivers inside. We're going to have another penalty coming to Team National Indigenous. Jenner just elects to run the ball. She easily has the first down yardage and more.
This may be declined for gained progress.
Yeah, free play on those scenarios. And a lot of times when you see these free plays, it's oftentimes a quarterback just taking the ball and launching it downfield, because again, if you don't get it or if it goes intercepted, it doesn't really quite matter too much. But Jenner elects to just rush the ball, as she's done so effectively throughout this game.
Yeah, when you're 3rd and inches on, you really want to make the play for your defense as part of the defensive group, but unfortunately you just jumped the gun a little bit too much.
Jenner looking for the pass, moving around in the pocket, trying to find her tight end, Telsky. Just a little bit off target on that one. Maybe tried to rush the throw a little bit.
Well, they'll rank everybody based on their record and who they played and who they defeated or who they lost to. Team Indigenous were 6th last year. Saskatchewan was 5th in 2024 out in Nova Scotia when they had this event.
Jenner has to make it. Avoiding action. She's going to continue to try to rush the ball. Some nice blocking. And that one comes out right as she goes out of bounds. And Jenner just continuing to make a handful of really good plays. 9:46 still remaining in this contest. Again, just having to make avoiding actions, trying to get away from Taverner Gill, who's been a really, really solid defensive player for this National Indigenous squad.
Yes, Saskatchewan will, if this score holds, improve to 2-1 and improve on their 5th place ranking as well, because Quebec and Manitoba each have a loss and a win, but will play each other. And Saskatchewan could finish as high as 3rd if this score holds.
First down run from Jenner. Again, so many times we have seen her just follow her blocks in front of her. Ellie Wicks.
Yeah, they're
just been such a threat everywhere she's been, whether it's been blocking, running, or receiving the ball. A true 3-down running back.
Yeah, they're in no panic to do anything specifically. They just need to get 10 yards every 2 plays. They're not going for any long bombs. They're just trying to do what they do.
Wicks goes right up the middle for the halfback draw. Able to gain a couple on this one. And again, with the score being the way that it is, you don't even necessarily need to get first down every 2 plays. You can potentially still try to run it 3 and to really run out this clock. Again, with it being 38-12, it's not necessarily one of those things where it's an insurmountable lead, but Ellie Wicks appears to be a little bit banged up on the play and ends up just taking a knee. And so with how much she has been utilized, it's not necessarily a bad thing to just potentially try to take a break from time to time, and she's able to get up and walk off under her own power, which is exactly what you want to see. Is just...
Well, check out the Football Canada website for the individual game stats, and once this game is complete, to get exactly her and everyone else's individual numbers, because I'm sure they're going to be terrific. Well-deserved break.
Jenner hands this ball off. And Atlanta with it, able to only gain a couple on the play. So this brings up 3rd and 5.
Yeah, guess who made the tackle? Thompson, number 7.
Yeah, again, just constantly all over the field all game long. Again,
Yeah, terrific work. She was able to get around the offensive lineman, turn right, and immediately attack for the tackle.
Again, going for it on third down again, just trying to chew this clock as best as you can. If you are able to get the first down, just keeps your defense off the field just that much longer. And also taking count field position as well. Jenner looking to make the pass, ends up just taking the ball and runs it for a first down. Again, being very, very patient in the backfield, looking to throw, and then just pulling it in and running it down.
Again, you can see from her body language, she's just going to exploit whatever Demolanta provides. And again, she was prepared to go in 10 different directions if it was necessary to do so. But great vision downfield.
All alone in the backfield. She motions left, still looking to throw the ball. Tries to avoid one tackle, gets around the 9-yard line for another nice gain. This is going to be second and about 4.
And Justice Behrens has made a few tackles today. She might be the defensive player of the game for Team Indigenous.
Yeah, Justice Behrens has been a very, very good defensive player this entire tournament. Just constantly out on the field, making really, really good tackles throughout it. But we have a timeout, Team National Indigenous, really just trying to get them a little bit of that breather and a little bit of a break here on the play. 6:58 still remaining here in this fourth quarter. Brendan Donald, Dave Standish here on the broadcast for you, and what a nice day for some football. Again, when you talk about football, this is kind of football weather where it's not rainy, cloud coverage, it's not too hot, not necessarily too cold, but really pushing these young athletes.
Yeah, Barons River, Manitoba, 4.5 hours north of Winnipeg, so it's going to be a long flight and then a long drive back to Barons River, just on the southeast corner of Lake Winnipeg. But yeah, again, these players drive a long way to be in these places, and 4.5 hours from the Winnipeg airport. So congratulations to everybody who's made the effort, both parents, family, and the players themselves for making the sacrifices to be here this week.
Not only to all the players, the coaches, the family members, but all of our amazing volunteers that are adding so many hours to this and just making this thing as big as possible as we can. Shannon rolls right, gets that to Madison Judd, and she comes close to the end zone, but we have a first down.
That was interesting because Judd was like, I am going to score this touchdown. I want this very badly. And Thompson said, no, you don't. I'm going to take that. She had as much enthusiasm to take it away as Judd had to score it.
An unmovable object versus an unstoppable force on that play. And again, it looked like she just had all sorts of space. But Thompson just came in, a little bit of a QB sneak there for Shenner. Can't quite get it.
Yeah, and Judd had rolled off right tackle. She was part of the offensive line and then just executed the play. And then the play after that, again Indigenous is not going to let them in easily.
No, not at all. So 2nd and 2 on this play. Just pretty much in the shadow of the end zone. Again, likely 3-down territory here if you're Team Saskatchewan. Shenner drops back to pass, rushes forward, has to avoid a tackle, and she's in for the score. Again, just another fantastic day for Ella Shenner. 6:01 still remaining in this contest.
We'll get another look. Again, a quick adjustment. And a shake and bake, slice and dice across the white line.
Yeah, just being really, really effective and intentional with the ball. But we see the offense stay out here on the field trying to get that 1 yard or that 1 point conversion, and just not quite able to get it on that occasion. So it remains 44-12 here in this game.
And we have Quebec and Manitoba coming up at 1 local, and our championship game, our rematch back from Sunday. Ontario versus Alberta at 4 o'clock local.
Make sure to hang out with us at the end of the broadcast so we can get to see the players of the game from both sides. Again, we have both an offensive and defensive player of the game for both teams. And I know during halftime for Team National Indigenous, Marie Thompson, there's kind of conversations of, well, can she end up getting both? Because been probably one of the more effective defensive players on the team. Without a doubt, the most effective offensive player on the team. Not to mention, she's also been spectacular in the special teams unit as well, returning kicks. This one goes far, as going to be eventually picked up by Chloe McKay. Tossed to Thompson behind the line of scrimmage, behind where the ball was, and she's eventually going to be wrapped up and taken down.
And again, Shia Richter-DuPont does all the right things. Unfortunately for Team Indigenous, their blockers couldn't outrun and outgun Richter to be able to make this booming tackle right into your living room on Thompson.
We do have a Team Saskatchewan player down. Unfortunately, didn't catch the number on that play, but coaches coming in, and hopefully it's just, again, one of those ones where you end up falling down on this turf field here at Shouldice Athletic Park in Calgary, Alberta. In the valley just right across from the Bow River. So hopefully everyone is going to be okay on the play. The walk-off under your own power. And I want to say that's number 5, and it is Ava Farkas. It's good to see her walking. Has a little bit of a limp, but hopefully, again, it's just one of those just situations where it's like, hey, just took a little bit of a stinger and get right back out there. Team National Indigenous offense out here on the field again with just shy under 6 minutes remaining. It's not highly likely that it's going to be a win, but you can still try to add some points and finish off on a very, very positive note. Shambo under center. Hands this one off, moving this one around. Chin. Getting close to that first down marker, maybe a couple of yards short. A nice looking first down run.
On the 3rd day, on the 7th game, I think I'm finally used to the blue lines being the border and not the hash marks at the very end of the field. When I call soccer matches here, I have to remind the crowd and myself that it's the yellow lines that are even further wider on either end than the football markings. So, yeah, they did well to paint in the blue lines, or else I'd have been lost for sure.
Shambo, a little bit discombobulated on that pass. Yeah, coming here to Shouldice Athletic Park, again, myself with the Calgary Colts of the CJFL, being this their home field and home turf. It is also a little bit strange for me to look at the blue lines and go, okay, that's where the boundaries are. And there's been a few times where I've made some calls where it's in, she's still running. Oh, wait, it stopped. I'm not sure why she stopped. That's right, she went out of bounds. But luckily, we do have our chain gang out there right along that blue line to at least keep me honest with it.
Well, yeah, I mean, we see people literally walking through the end zone. It's a little strange.
The screen pass, maybe not necessarily designed that way, but still trying to get there, chucking along, and just shy of the first down, but a nice looking play. Savannah Dyson was the one who ended up catching that one, but not able to get that. So Team Saskatchewan's offense comes right back out there on the field, and you'd have to imagine that it's going to be a couple of quick runs if you can get a couple of first downs and take the knee and call this one.
Yeah, turnover on downs. Raina James doing all the right things. Super excited to get that defensive stop, and big congratulations from her team when she got back to the bench.
Jenner out there. Malata also there from the running back spot. Duro, this is looking more like a soccer play than a football play. And Team National Indigenous is going to create the turnover when you've had yourself a really, really effective day on the offensive side of the ball. You're allowed to have a uh-oh type of play every once in a while.
I thought I'd seen everything, but once we see this replay, I think it's just, you know what? I'll just roll it to you. I'm not going to pass it to you or hand it off. Why don't I just roll it to you? And then, unfortunately, Giroux just couldn't grab it off the turf.
Yeah, Schenner mishandles the snap and sees Giroux coming and just tries to rush that one a little bit. Ultimately, just tries to put it up in the air and just can't quite get anything.
Schenner's had a spectacular week.
Yeah,
She'll forget about that one in about 3 seconds.
Exactly. She's going to get to the sideline, going to slap on the helmet by the coach and forget about a kid. But a nice looking run from Thompson. Almost able to gain about 18 on that play. Again, just a little under 4 minutes remaining here in this contest. Brendan Donald, Dave Standish here on the call. Thank you all very much for hanging out with us here today and all week long for all of the coverage. What has been a very, very fun tournament.
Yeah, it's been terrific. Like I was telling Cole Wednesday, it still seems weird to say the word football tournament.
Yeah,
because they play every third day, or you're just used to the one and done playoffs in the pros or colleges.
Again, that's a lot of effort for these young players to go out there and play so many games back to back to back. As that one's going to be picked off, and that could potentially be some large open grass. Interception from Kinsley Cousins, the defensive lineman from Prince Albert.
Absolutely, and this is all set up by Cameron Thies from the Regina Victorias, putting the pressure on the quarterback, leading to a bad pass. We'll see
pressure
it again.
right up the middle. DeChambeau kind of having to just toss that one up in the air. Not too often you get to say a defensive lineman gets the interception. But my oh my, whenever you see it, it's always very fun. This one moves up. Laskovich with a decent first down run, able to get to around the 35-yard line.
Her first ever event. And I mean, Saskatchewan's got a lot of ones, only a couple of twos and a couple of threes, so we could see this team, depending on their ages, of course, the majority of them be back for 2026.
Yeah, it's good to have a mix of young and more experienced players, because that way you can allow the experienced players to really guide and show everyone on the roster kind of how this tournament is done. Just with more experience leads to better results in the future. That one was tossed. Laskovich able to get the first down. And with 2:49 still remaining, we're going to have first down.
Yeah, Hayden Shipp in at quarterback with the orange helmet. And that's another play that if it wasn't so late in the game, if you could really execute a terrific fake, Shipp could have gone all by herself on that near left side.
Yeah, nice tackle from Justice Barons on that play as well. Again, she's pretty much been the MVP for this team throughout the tournament. Shipp's going to try to just run this one up the middle for the QB draw. Only able to gain about 2 yards on that one, but again, at this point of the game, and you don't really need to try to force anything, but we do have a Team National Indigenous player down on the field here at the moment in a little bit of pain. But all in all, again, I've been able to be on the broadcast for both of these teams for all of their games. To see Team National Indigenous come off of that 55-0 defeat on game number 1 back on Sunday, to really just have a competitive game against Manitoba, where it was 20-0 on Wednesday. You know, it's one of those things where you talk with the coaching staff and say, how ultimately is the energy and kind of the practice for these next couple of days? And it's, you know what, the energy is good. we've done some things that we don't like. We've made some adjustments, but it's just trying to make some of these small changes. And we've seen some of these small changes today, but then again, Thompson also coming in has really, really turned the tables for Team National Indigenous, and it's good to see the young player able to get up under her own power. Didn't unfortunately catch the number. Apologies, folks.
Actually, it was Safira Tuhart, number 17.
That's why it's always great to have an extra set of eyes on the broadcast to spot something that you don't necessarily see, but good to see her walking off under her own power. Ship hands this one off. Inolanta ends up getting taken down right around the line of scrimmage. Might have just lost a little bit, and she did. So it's going to be 3rd and long. Thompson making the tackle on that play. Again, just such an effective player. So 3rd and 8 here. What can Team Saskatchewan draw up? Ship all alone. She's looking to pass. The screen pass goes up and in and out of the hands of Patelski. Again, the tight end does a lot of good blocking for this unit. Able to make a couple of good catches throughout the tournament as well. Unfortunately, just can't bring that one in.
Yeah, Patelski, one of a handful of third-year players. She's from Benito, the Moosomin Generals.
So Team National Indigenous, again, with 2 minutes remaining, going out, trying to get a nice-looking score to just try to end the tournament on a high. Again, without a doubt, Team National Indigenous, best game of the tournament here today. Playing some much better football, both on the offense and defensive side of the ball. DeChambeau, Thompson beside her. Pardon me, that's Helena McKay. The wraparound eventually goes to Thompson, avoids one tackle, and gets right around the original line of scrimmage. It doesn't feel like she has left the field at all today. Again, when you're one of those two-way players, again, mentioned earlier in the broadcast, similar to Travis Hunter, who was just the national champ or the Heisman winner in college football last year, and the second overall pick in the previous NFL draft to the Jacksonville Jaguars, goes out there, just makes a ton and almost never leaves the field, and Thompson is providing that level of play here today for her team.
Yeah, you can tell who the most enthusiastic players are. The ones that have been playing since they were young and just cannot stand to be off the field.
2nd and 11 here. Shambo under center, rolls out, looks for Cardinals. That one tipped up in the air. Keegan Stewart, Wren was looking to try to get that interception, just a little bit behind her.
Looks like it went through 6 sets of fingers, and just nobody could come up with it before it hit the turf.
3rd and 11, again, at this stage of the game, you're not necessarily going to be too worried about field position. So if you can ultimately go out there and get an attempt at that first down, and again, we've seen this National Indigenous squad have 2 very, very long touchdowns, again, going back to their 4 first points of the game, that being a 72-yard passing touchdown to Thompson. Again, big, large, explosive plays are very capable for this offense here. Some trickery. Thompson able to get it. She's going to take the snap directly. She's going to be able to get very close to the first down marker. The official just calls that one short.
That's the difficulty. They've been in 3rd and 10 plus so many times today that it just puts extra pressure on that 3rd down attempt, and it hasn't worked very often.
A tough play, but with 81 seconds still remaining in this game, appeared to be number 31, Ropa. A little bit shaken up after that play, being helped off by her teammates. Always good to see that one and able to continue to show some good support and good help. Hayden Ship in the shotgun. Hands this one off to Imalata. Making a nice looking run. Able to get the first down on that one. Almost looking like zigzag going in and out, trying to just find some space and creating something out of nothing.
Yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth. Great pivots, great adjustments, and you see her literally running into 4 red jerseys, 4 red players, but she knew where the hole was between all 4 of them. She knew she was going to get tackled, but again, that's just terrific vision, and big credit to her.
She gets the ball yet again, moving forward, and just gets stuffed right at the line of scrimmage. And
honestly, you know what? A lot of it is like boys or girls. Like you play a tag at recess. Like 7, 8 years ago, that's what these kids were doing, and you learn to pivot. You learn to adjust on the fly and make people miss. It's as simple as it sounds. All those little things can make a huge difference later in life.
Without a doubt, as Ship looks to try to toss this one. A deep pass trying to get it to Patelski, but just a little bit off target on that one. Going back to what you're saying again, just going back to a lot of these childhood games that these young athletes play and seeing the cuts and pivots. I just look at some of the pivots we've just seen throughout this weekend, and my ACL immediately starts to flare up and going, look, okay, yeah, no, not going to have that situation going.
Well, in about 30 years, they won't be able to do it, but they might as well enjoy it now.
Exactly, the joys of youth sports. He's able to bounce back pretty much after almost anything. Ship again looks to pass, trying to go deep, trying to find Duro, and just cannot connect on that one. 3rd and 10, it's going to be a turnover on downs. We are going to see a penalty marker on the play, so that could potentially be pass interference to extend this drive.
And then in a couple of decades, you just hurt your knee just by standing up. So it's you have to enjoy it while you have the chance.
Well, for myself, having 2 knee surgeries on the same knee before the age of 22.
Oh, boy.
It's know all about that world. A 15-yard penalty, so it's going to extend this drive, and I won't be shocked potentially just see Team Saskatchewan just ultimately take a knee and finish this game off 1st and 9 in what was a really, really solid game from top to bottom from Team Saskatchewan. Again, pretty much on the defensive side of the ball, only really having about 3 or 4 big plays go against them. Hayden Ship, again, looking to try to make that pass. Screen pass, stopped almost immediately. You can hear some of the Saskatchewan fans out there.
Yeah, you can
joy.
You can definitely tell with the Yorkton Lady Gritters, the very orange helmets. 17-16 Ship to Winters. I'm sure they worked on that play in Yorkton many, many times.
Atlanta takes the ball, tries to cut this one up the middle, and she's going to score. Again, she has had a couple of nice-looking runs, continues to make a couple of nice-looking cuts, ends up finding the back of the end zone. And adding on, again, you talk with some teams at this stage of game and say, well, are you trying to just ultimately run up the score? It's, no, we're just running our offense, and if the opposing team can't stop it, then it's not really our worry. But again, a nice looking run ultimately results in an extra score with 8 seconds still remaining in this one.
Yeah, our second team against your second team. Going for the 1-point conversion.
Hayden Ship with it. And just muscles her way in. So that's going to make this 51-12. And again, maybe in a tournament like this, trying to ultimately get the final standings, point differential could potentially be the thing that ultimately decides whether you're 5th, 4th, or 3rd in this one.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, we had at a certain point we had a 4-way tie before the Alberta-Ontario game, or Alberta-Quebec game on Wednesday. And again, Quebec, Manitoba coming up at 1, Ontario, Alberta coming up at 4. And this is one of those unique events, Brendan, Cole and I were talking about it, where basically your seeding for this year sets you up for next year. Like the 2024 finish is what determined the schedule for day 1 this year. So if Saskatchewan finishes 3rd and Indigenous finishes 6th, then they could be playing each other in game 1 of 2026, and we'd already know that a year in advance.
Yeah, without a doubt. And again, just trying to ultimately.
Yeah, so it's more. Well, I mean, it's not guaranteed depending on the number of teams that enter. But if it's the same 6 teams, then that's pretty much the format that they would use. This is the 4th ever U18 female nationals.
Again, we were initially supposed to have 8 teams in this tournament when all of it was starting to be discussed around back in January, when we found out that we were going to be jumping on for the broadcast here. But unfortunately, 2 teams couldn't end up either making full rosters or just making the trip in general. But
yeah,
still,
last year New Brunswick finished 7th, and the Ontario B team finished 8th. So I'm sure Ontario could create 2 rosters if a different province, like even BC, could come up with a roster for 2026.
A nice looking pass in the hands of Cardinal. She has a big run, and that is going to be good for another explosive play. What a way to finish it here today. Team Saskatchewan with an impressive victory, 51-12 over Team National Indigenous.
And Saskatchewan was not going to let them just walk into the end zone and take the last moment of glory. But a heck of a run, probably 30-plus on the reception. Again, the final stats will be available on Football Canada's website for all the individual numbers.
A game that had a handful of really impressive moments for Team National Indigenous. Again, their offense had been more of that explosive unit as opposed to the chip-type play offense. Able to get a handful of scores in this one, which again, for a team that came into today with no points in 2 games, you have to take the positives where they are. And even on their defense, they were able to get and pick up and slow down that Team Saskatchewan offense on a couple of drives that you looked at it, and when that is exactly what you needed to do.
Well, Saskatchewan should be very encouraged. 111 points in 3 games. That definitely looked, and like I said, a lot of ones, a lot of rookies here this year, so that definitely looks very positive for them in 2026.
Yeah, a great way to start out Championship Saturday here in Calgary, Alberta for the 2025 U18 National Championships. But we are now going to give our players of the games. Remember, there is an offense and defensive player for both teams. And we will be bringing them to you live, taking a look at all of the advanced stats at the end of the game. Team Saskatchewan with a total of 556 yards of offense.
And 284 for Indigenous isn't too bad either.
Not by any stretch of the imagination. But as the players are announced, we will have a quick chat. Number 22, Justice Behrens, the National Indigenous Defensive Player of the game. Again, such an effective tackler out there, and really is just a phenomenal, phenomenal player.
Bless you.
Rightfully so. Again, she's not only just been one of the best defensive players for Team National Indigenous, but without a doubt in this entire tournament. Kashmiri Thompson the offensive player of the game for Team National Indigenous. And Dave, that was not a shock by any stretch of the imagination.
Well, no, plus the 2 interceptions. Like we were saying, she easily could have been given both, no doubt about it, but Justice did a great job as well.
Shy Richard DuPont, the most valuable player for Team Saskatchewan on their defensive side of things. And again, she also had a very good day, very similar to Justice Barons, playing that more linebacker/safety role.
And she made plays at the perfect times, too.
Yes, that she did.
When they needed a big play, she provided it.
Ellie Wicks, the offensive player of the game. Again, from what she did in terms of blocking, running the ball, even catching the ball, just if you had to give an MVP of the game in general, she would, without a doubt, just a selfless player going out there and just doing such a great job. But that's going to do it here for game number 7 and game number 1 here on this championship Saturday. For Dave Standish, I'm Brendan Donald saying thank you all very much for watching. Make sure to check back for game number 2 starting at 1 o'clock.